I tend to organize my gear first by weight. I really want to make sure that my weight is evenly distributed from side to side, not necessarily from front to back. But I want to make sure that I don't have insane amounts of weight on one side and a really light bag on the other. You will feel it. Your body will feel it. You'll feel it in your hips and your back over the course of a tour. So I really also like to organize kind of thematically. So I'll kind of have one bag be my personal stuff, my clothing and gear. Another one would be my camp, and maybe my kitchen and food might be distributed in the front. I like to have access to my food pretty quickly in the front, and I actually love to have bags with a lot of pockets and zippers in the front so that I've got my gear right there. I, from backpacking, have gotten really habitual about how I pack. I can like really say that where I find my headlamp is also where I find my lighter and my Leatherman. And you don't have to be that anal about how you pack, but when you're living out of this tiny amount of space, it can be really nice just to know where your stuff is. It also makes the process of packing up in the morning pretty darn fast because it's just a given where you're going to be putting things. I also tend to try to keep my heaviest stuff lower down in each bag. Inevitably, you kind of get to a place where you're gonna need that thing that's at the bottom of the bag and you dig everything out. Like with backpacking, I do also think that it's pretty likely that I'm gonna unpack every night and empty out almost all of my bags, maybe with the exception of my food. That's partially because I've chosen things really selectively, and I'm not carrying a lot of things that I don't need on a daily basis. So I usually will have my panniers pretty much empty every night and then repacked the next day. I don't necessarily pack my tent. Very often my tent is on the top of the rear rack. Also things like tent stakes and poles don't necessarily need to be inside the bag. I tend to go and pack the things that will require a lot more protection from the weather first, and then the things that, like a tent, yeah, it's nice to have a dry tent, but ultimately it's still nylon. Once it's pitched, it's going to dry out really fast. And I've got a mat, so I'm not really concerned about that nylon necessarily getting wet. So a tent is a huge amount of space that's not going into those bags necessarily, and that opens up space within your bags to accommodate for all of your other gear.